Here we go.
Hey everyone, this is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean on Between the Lines. And you know how we do it here on Between the Lines, with gratitude or thankfulness, whichever suits your fancy. But I am thankful for the pouring rain outside. I am so thankful for the pouring rain. Thunder and lightning people are happening by me in Trinidad and Tobago. It's beautiful to hear showers. You know, some people actually around the world have to either go to YouTube or purchase these things to actually hear the kind of rain I hear for meditative reasons. I don't need to do that. I just need to look outside. It's raining. Okay, it's raining and I don't need to go on YouTube to hear the sounds of the rain. And I have this man in front of me, a handsome man, when I should turn him off and go in my bed undercover when it's raining. He has me on this show. He has me talking to him on this show. This is Dane Stevens, people. And let me tell you what we are talking about today. What are we talking about today? Oh, when trauma is forced out of your body. Let me repeat that. When trauma is forced out of your body. Now, it might sound kind of funny, but don't worry, we'll get into it and you'll be able to better understand what we mean and why it's a good or not so good thing. We leave the decision to you. Okay? Let me tell you a bit about Dane. Dane Stevens is an author, speaker, facilitator, and owner of an extraordinary life. Or some people say an extraordinary, but I will say extraordinary life. He is a developer of the Neuro trauma healing process, NTHP, and soul recognition. Modalities created out of sheer necessity when a well-meaning therapist tried forcing a trauma out of him. The Reclaim Your Power to Create Your Best Life book tells the story of how the processes were created, showing people that they too can heal fully from their past and live the free and fulfilling life. Welcome, Dane, to Between the Lines.
Thanks for having me, Corinne. Great to be here. Love your show. Thank you for what you do, for who you are.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being here as a guest on my show. We're talking about trauma, and I want to jump right into it. And you mentioned, let's go a little way back, about it being forced out of you. But before we go into forcing out, some people might not understand trauma. And we were talking off air a while ago. And I was saying to you, a lot of the way people behave, people's behaviors, attitude is really coming from a traumatic experience, but they are not even aware or conscious of that because it may have happened in pregnancy, epigenetics, or when they were born, or even in the process in childbirth and they don't know, growing up as a child, and that memory is so deep in their subconscious that they don't realize. Or even throughout their adulthood that they just put behind, shelve it, and they just don't want to accept or deal with it. You know, and how can we identify trauma? And what is concerning to me, Dane, is that as I talk about it with you now, some people may not realize the things that they're going through is traumatic to them, for them to put up boundaries, to say, no, I am not accepting this. I am not tolerating this. I am not allowing this. I'm not giving you permission to treat me this way or do this to me. Some people don't realize, and it is linked back again to trauma because this is what they are used to. So they attract what they are used to thinking it's normal. Am I on the right track here, Dane?
Yeah, and you know, thank you for opening it up in this way, because the first thing is to understand what trauma is, because and sort of educate people so they understand. And when you say the word trauma, people can tend to think of something like a car crash, or you know, the experience of war, or being abused, you know, in some big mental, physical, emotional way. But like you talked about, you can have traumas occur that we don't even occur. And we talk about childhood trauma because that's when we're most susceptible. And we have something like if you were growing up with a high functioning alcoholic, you probably didn't even know. You have a young, undeveloped mind. You didn't even know you're experiencing abuse because that's just the way that it was.
Yeah.
But alcoholism in itself is a form of self-abuse, so it is being,
Yes.
passed on to you. And something like neglect, it looks like nothing happened, and that's exactly right. But with that not getting recognized, not getting attention, or you didn't let your natural energy flow the way it would have. Your energy gets skewed in these times. So each one of those situations, the big T traumas where you were traumatized, and also the little T trauma, what happens is it stays stuck looping in your nervous system, and it will be, because it's looping, trying to process you, your soul will say, it will outpicture itself as a negative pattern in your life somewhere. Doesn't matter whether it's your health, your wealth, your relationships, your career, whatever that is. If you have a pattern in your life, and you keep attracting negative, abusive relationships, you keep going broke, only get to a certain level and you make yourself broke, or you stop yourself from advancing in your life somehow. If this keeps happening, I can pretty much assure you that you have something stuck looping in your nervous system unprocessed. And that's the terminology for trauma, something stuck looping your nervous system unprocessed. And you'd be hard pressed to find anybody that doesn't have at least some degree of trauma looping within them. So, yeah.
And I like how you use the word looping, because it is in our nervous system. It is programmed in our muscle, in our DNA. And it's like we have to rewire that.
Yes.
And you see, the thing about it, Dane, is that you have to be aware. You see, that's the thing. There are a lot of walking deads around. There's zombies. They're not aware. For them to say, hold on. I will give you a personal experience, or one of the many, because we all have many. And I'm sure what I'm about to say you can relate, and others who will be listening to this can relate. I have realized there are lots of things I would start and not complete. Start and not complete. And there are things that I would start and complete, without a doubt. Start and complete. And I'm like, Corinne, why is this happening? There must be a reason. And it's not that I don't love or want to do the things. I should be doing them. And I'm talking to myself like how I'm talking to you. And I'm like, what is causing that? And I just sat back one day and I said, this is not right. When I think back, I start this book, I reached this chapter, I didn't finish that. I started another book, I didn't finish that. And I would make up my mind eventually. I would make up my mind when I start the book, I am going to do a chapter a night. Before I go to bed, this is what I'm going to consistently do. So I have a plan of action, but it's not going on. And there are some things, like for instance, a proposal I want to send out for a bid or something, I would finish it, make the deadline, send it off. I am like, what is going on? I would find myself avoiding certain things. I would call it avoiding, and there are some things I would run into, like, I'm like, what is going on? I sat down and I said, Corinne, there is a limiting belief. There's something circling inside of you that it has programmed you to believe that you cannot go further than this.
Right.
What is that limiting belief? What is it that keeps making you reach this point and not go further? Why am I sharing this with you? And I see I can see the little wheels churning in your head. Help me out here, because there may be yes, and people will call it procrastination. That's a term you will call it, procrastination.
So a couple things. Yeah, first of all, it's good that you recognize that you deserve to be happy. Because like you say, a lot of the people, the walking wounded, are out there, and they don't understand that you have a right. You deserve to be happy. It's your inherent right.
Of course.
Right, to be happy and to enjoy your life. And it's easy for me to say, but I understand when a trauma is looping within you. And the thing is, what's great is you recognize that. And that's the first step, is to recognize you have a pattern, something's going on. And, the more I play this game, especially since doing this work, the more I play this game of life, I see that maybe life works really well. And even in these times that we're not enjoying, and these things that keep happening, maybe we have these chronic conditions, these addictive behaviors, these unwanted behaviors that keep happening because they're going to keep happening until we go inside. Maybe these are the pointers to point us inside. Because anytime you have a chronic condition or addictive behavior, unwanted behavior, any of that stuff, if you keep sabotaging yourself, as long as you keep going outside of yourself for the solution, for the answer, you're going to come back to the same place because it's happening inside of you. And, you know, the word, you know, we use the word responsibility, but let me qualify that first. When I say responsible, it doesn't mean blame, because, you know, if something did happen to you as a child, you know, you didn't cause it. You can't take blame for that. So taking responsibility doesn't mean it's my fault. That's not what we're saying. But what I'm saying is, in a time of trauma, what happens is two things occur. First of all, time stops. So when something is too overwhelming, I'll talk about how we process things and how this works in a bit. But when that left brain can't handle something, it gets stuck in your nervous system. It keeps looping in your nervous system. And the right brain keeps seeing it, experiencing it, seeing it, experiencing it as it tries to process itself. So when this is occurring, it's going to outpicture itself in our life as a negative pattern. So that's maybe the universe's way of getting our attention, of getting us to go inside, because that's where cause is. So when I say responsibility, I don't mean blame. I mean, understand that if it's a pattern, what's the commonality? It's us.
Yeah.
So we need to go inside of us. And most people just haven't known how to do that. So
what would you say, based on what I shared with you, my personal experience, which I'm sure is a personal experience for many others who may start and stop, but there are other things that they will follow through on. What do you think internally may be happening there that we need to rewire ourselves?
So it could be a number of things, from deservedness, from fear of success, from fear of failure. It could be a number of things. And I have to say that I used to coach and counsel, and I don't coach and counsel anymore. I teach this process because I may not know what is best for you, what's going inside of you, but I do know that you do. You do have the answers inside of you. So, you know, when you have something going on in your outer world that you're not liking, you know, that's the cue. That's the pointer. And that's where you recognize this. Okay, there's something going on inside me. What is that? And with the neurotrauma healing process, you can connect with that part with certainty. When something is up, and I say up, when something is up, whether it be anger, whether it be fear, whether it be sadness, whether it be withdrawal, depression, whatever it is, it's up for healing. So when you understand that, that's where I say getting on the page. We do a left-right hand process that gives people direct access to their subconscious mind in a safe and gentle manner. So when you understand how you work, that your outer world, the physical experience, is simply a feedback system.
It is.
Showing you what you're thinking, what you're believing, and here's the biggie, how you're treating yourself.
Oh, yes.
Then you'll go in.
It is. It's like a movie. Your eyes are really like the projection, and whatever you see is what is inside. So when people talk about reality, oh, you don't believe it. You're like, which reality? Because what I see is not
More reality,
right? Which reality are you talking? You know, because what you see is not the same thing I see. And when you talk to people like that, they're like, what are you talking? Woo woo, that's crazy talk. No, what is reality? Because everybody has a different perception of reality, and I'm not.
We don't even know if we see the same colors. I mean, so
right. But the thing about it is, let's go back to your situation where it was forced out of you by a therapist. Can you share briefly about that? I'm trying to turn off my alarm.
I was actually doing very well in my life. Had a great coaching training business and great employees and making good money and traveling and, you know, living in a beautiful place off the ocean. And, you know, things were going really well in all areas of my life except for my relationships, which I would sabotage, destroy, and they were all short-lived. And then I'd seek intimacy elsewhere immediately. So that became such a pattern. I went, hey, you know, there's something going on here. And you know, it's not enjoyable. I am not enjoying this. So I wondered if I had to look into an abuse issue, childhood abuse issue. And I'll say it because it's so common now and needs to be brought in the open. So many people have this experience. It was a sexual abuse issue when I was a child.
Wow.
So, and I didn't know if I dealt with it. And because this was going on and because I asked the question, I knew I had to look at it.
Wow.
So first I went to a few groups and that didn't quite resonate. Nothing seemed to quite work for me there. And I did a bunch of different counseling types and modalities, and nothing seemed to quite get me or work for me. And then I was referred to a therapist / healer, and she came highly recommended. So I went to see her, and she assessed me. And I was really impressed at that point. I knew nothing of trauma at this point. I knew a little bit about energy, but not about trauma. Mm-hmm. So she assessed me, said I had a circ in my lower chakra, which is the lower region of the body, which makes sense. So, okay. Mm-hmm. And, I was seeing her for a number of sessions. She wasn't cheap, but I was, making good money. I wasn't concerned. Mm-hmm. And a number of sessions in, she asked me if I would like to try and force the trauma out. And once again, I knew nothing of trauma. And she associated or likened it to hitting a home run and asked me if I wanted to go for a home run. Mm-hmm. No, I'm an athlete. I'm a go-getter. Sure, let's go for a home run. She failed to say that you could hit a foul ball. And I still remember to this day, she had me on the table twisted in some different strange pretzel position and tell me to go there, go there. Mm-hmm. And I was so out of it, so in the ozone that I literally couldn't tell which way was up even. Wow. And when I came off the table, I felt like I had jittery platelets. I was mm-hmm. scared for no apparent reason and jittery. And I just assumed it would pass. I'd seen her for a number of, a lot of sessions. So I assumed it would pass. And it did not. And this instability, it felt like I was plugged into an electrical outlet and I was just like vibrating. It was mm-hmm. too much for my nervous system. I was revving. Wow. And it didn't. I kept seeing her. And this instability, this fear remained in me, wow. coming through me. And it's like, help me out here. And she didn't, eventually I ran into money.
Yeah. It was too much for your system.
Too much. Yeah. And eventually I ran into money. Yeah. It was forced out. Mm-hmm. And like I say, if I'd have known about trauma, that's the last thing you want to do. Mm-hmm. So anyway, she stopped seeing me because I ran into money, but also because I don't think she knew what she did. And, I wasn't a millionaire, but I had some money. Within 18 months, I started to lose everything. It's like wow. somebody turned a vacuum on in my life. Wow. I lost clients and contracts, sale of a business. And I was broke within 18 months and homeless within 3 years. Whoa. And I went on a mad search to figure out what the hell happened to me and how to get my life back. And so now I know, and the process that we teach is based on inner compassionate connection. Mm-hmm. That is the only way you can safely unfreeze a trauma. You do not force it out. That was the biggest trauma I've had in my life, was that experience of her trying to force the trauma out. Wow. So, with trauma, it's about inner compassionate connection right. and creating a level of trust. It's about relationship. You create a relationship, the life inside of you.
Yeah. And loving and being forgiving and self-care, because it needs that. Yeah. It needs that. It doesn't need an attack, on itself, which is you. It doesn't need that. Would you mind sharing a bit about that process to kind of give us a feel for what someone coming to you may experience?
Yeah. So it's a left-right brain process, mm-hmm. and it's really quite simple. And in the first session, we kind of take you back there, but it's not about staying there. Mm-hmm. What happens is we give you, as I mentioned, direct access to your subconscious mind in a safe and gentle manner. That means you get to connect to that wounded part in you, that part that might be afraid of success, that part that might be, afraid to go outside of the box of what has been known, mm-hmm. or, whatever that is. So you connect with that part that experienced that, whether it be abuse or neglect or failure, whatever that appears to be, and you can connect to that intimately. And when you connect to that part intimately, that wounded part in you, and create the level of trust necessary, it will unfreeze. And in that, you learn how to give that part what it didn't get at that time, whether it be safety, whether it be respect, whether it be love, whether it be seen, whatever that is, you get to give that part what it didn't get at that time, and therefore what you're not giving yourself now. And it's profound, because when you make a connection, you create that relationship. It does not take that long, but it's not a quick fix, don't get me wrong. But when you create that relationship and you give that part what it needs, and it starts to feel better, you feel better. And it's profound in the way that you learn that you are your source, that when you give yourself the love that you want and need inside, it will simply show up in your outer world. When you give yourself the respect that you want and need, it will show up without you doing anything in your outer world. It shows you that you are a creator, and what you're experiencing right now is simply a feedback system.
That's right. We are too hard on ourselves, and I have realized that about me, being hard on myself, and I have to talk to myself a lot.
You're believing.
Yeah. I have to talk to myself and say, Corinne, take it easy. Don't be so hard on you. It's okay. You don't have to do this now. What is the rush? You know, don't be so hard on you. And I have to be gentle, because I'm a driven person, focused. I want to get things done, and it's like, you know, rushing, you know, and I'm like, no, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this now. Why? Nobody could rush me unless I give them permission to, no. And I could say no. And I could say, no, I feel to do this, and I do the things that bring me joy. I could dance, I could listen to music, I could watch a movie. I do whatever brings me joy. Make my heart and soul sing, so that when I go into doing whatever it is,
that's the closest we are to source. And when we do slow down, when we do stop, then we can receive. Then we get to experience that we're not alone, that we have a lot of help. That life is alive and is on our side, but we have to say yes to it. We have to, what I say for myself is, get out of the way.
Get out of your way. Get out of your own damn way.
Absolutely. Totally.
We are our own worst enemy. Let me ask you this before I feature your website, because we're coming up close to the time for the show. We have a few more minutes left, and I really want to take advantage of you while I have you on. Now, narcissism. Narcissism. I'm sure you know about it. And you know, with narcissism, these people are not born a narcissist. You're not born that way. But it is through a traumatic experience, or a traumatic experiences, that they become who they become, whether by nature or nurture, you know, a combination, whatever it may be. It's parents that could cause them to be, well, of course, they are the persons, you know, and they go through a traumatic experience, and they decide to live this particular life because, hey, for them, it works, okay? They're getting what they want, and it works. Do you think the program that you're offering could help persons like that?
Yes. And, you know, like you mentioned, so many people have just accepted their lot in life. And to quote Carl Jung, he said, until the conscious is aligned with the subconscious, it will basically wreak havoc in your life, and you will call it fate. It will run your life or ruin your life, and you will call it fate. And I'm telling you, no. You deserve to be free, you deserve to be happy, and you can be. But life is an inside job. So with this, we will help you to connect to that life inside of you in a safe and gentle manner. And that may seem a little woo, but I tell you, this is not where I'm from. I grew up, playing hockey and, having bush parties and my friends and so on. So this is all new. But when you connect with that part, you will see how obvious it is. You'll also really recognize it because it's you. It's not out there. It's a part of you that needs your loving attention. And when you give that part your loving attention, as Dr. John Bradshaw says, the wounded child becomes the wonder child. Because when we heal these parts and bring them back into this present moment where it's not happening anymore, we also bring back our nature. And that, because what happens when we heal a trauma, we slow down the tape that's been looping inside of us. That says I can't, or says I'm scared, or says run, or says hide, or whatever that says. When you slow down and stop that tape, it creates space inside of you.
Yeah.
That space is peace.
Yeah.
And that peace is automatically filled with our nature, what I'll call your authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
And your authentic self is powerful, is peaceful, is abundant, is creative, is healthy, is beautiful. And that's your nature. When I say that, there's no effort. It's just a matter of getting these parts of ourselves, that these internal parts that have a belief in separation, that are separated from the truth about us. When we do that healing work, that's what comes forth. Life gets softer, life gets easier, and you find that you're in harmony with life, not trying to work against or make stuff happen. You're in a dance with life. You're in harmony with life. It's beautiful, and that's what we all came here for and can have.
Yeah, there's a bliss. There's a bliss that happens when you're aligned and when you're at peace. And when you just empty yourself and let go, you know, surrender, you know, you just surrender all. Because the more you resist pain, it's the more you're fighting something. Just let it go. And I tell you, I do a lot of self-talk. I had conversations with myself here yesterday, talking like if somebody's here, and I had to have the conversation. And when I finished that conversation, I was good. I was good after that day. I was good. I mean, a literal conversation, back and forth, I was going. Because I said, I am not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight you. I acknowledge you. I hear you. Yeah, I know. I acknowledge it. I acknowledge your feelings. Don't try to fight it because it's going to come back. It's going to come back. It's something raised in you. You have to allow it. Let it work through your body till it works itself out.
And like you say, Corinne, that feeling, when you have the feeling, when you understand, when you feel sad, when you feel mad, when you feel whatever, when you understand that that's not who you are, but it's a part within you that needs your loving attention. When you understand that, that's the start of how having that knowledge is the start of having compassion for yourself. And that's the start of healing. As long as you're trying to force something, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to compound. It's going to come back at you because force begets force.
That's right.
More
and this is why we keep repeating the same things, because you see, it's like history keeps repeating itself, as I say. You keep making the same mistakes. You're attracting the same type of people in your life. You're like, why am I getting the same kind of guy, the same relationships, the same job? You're not learning the lesson. You're not learning the lesson because you keep resisting. You're not dealing with it. You're not accepting. You're not being aware and conscious. Oh my word.
And, like you said, so many people are out there doing the same thing and not coming to healing. And what we do in the neurotrauma healing process is we have a left-right brain process that gives you direct access to that has been looping, that's stuck in your nervous system and trapped in your body. So when we bring that part up, we can process it. Because when you have a pattern that keeps happening, once again, I can pretty much assure you, if you've tried to deal with it and haven't been able to, I can pretty much assure you have something stuck looping in your nervous system unprocessed.
Like
and something like
in your teeth.
Yeah.
Like when
so when you
it's annoying.
But it's not your fault. No, but you do have to take responsibility because it's happening inside of you. So don't blame yourself, but understand that it's happening inside of you. And through the NTHP, you have direct access to that in a safe and gentle manner to bring it to resolution, not have to keep coping with it, not having to continue to compensate for it, or not trying to blow through it. You can bring it to resolution. So I use the example of like family, because nobody pushes our buttons like family, huh, Karina?
I'm telling you. I am telling you. Yeah. You have to ignore them. I'm telling you. You have to ignore those crazy people. They're crazy. You have to ignore them.
But when you do this inner work, when you bring it to resolution, you'll be in a situation, and I use your family, the family as an example, because we all have that knowledge.
Of course.
But, and you'll think maybe, you know, shouldn't I be, you know, getting angry now, or wouldn't I normally be crying now, or wouldn't I normally be leaving or withdrawing, or, you know, getting depressed right now? But when you heal it within inside of you, it's just not there to be triggered anymore. You talk about boundaries, and what's really great when we work with clients and we see them setting boundaries without any fear or animosity
Of course. I
or
love
anxiety,
boundaries.
and they come back and just said no, or
I
because
love
it's
boundaries.
not, the fear isn't there anymore.
I love boundaries. I love boundaries. If you know how I love them, I love to say no. And I tell people, I said, you know, it's not hard, you know, practice. Say after me, no, no, hell no. Say it in every different language, expletives included. Say it, practice. Just practice, and it makes you feel good. It does make you feel good that you could say no and feel no way about saying no. No.
Love, I mean, no can be the loving thing. I mean, we always want to come from love, and sometimes saying no is a loving thing.
But no is also a way of loving yourself. Because if you keep
that's
saying
exactly
yes,
right.
Yeah, because if you keep saying yes, people are going to take advantage of you, and there's no boundaries. There are no boundaries. They're going to keep taking advantage.
And something to know about that, is what's good for you is good for everybody. And
That's
some
right.
people have a tough time getting that concept. What feels good and is good for you is good for everybody. And if you're going and, you know, going to go beat somebody up and that makes you feel good, you're probably a little off base in that one. But, if something feels good, it is good for you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm switching here to your website. I know I probably shocked you there a bit. I just did that suddenly. But I'm here on your website because I want to make sure that we get to your book, how persons can get to your book, how can they take advantage of your services. I see you have free resources here. Tell us where to go. Help us to navigate here.
Yeah. So, you know, first thing is October 14th, we have the webinar. So sign up for that. It will give you the full outline of the process, how it works, and if it's for you, and show you how, you know, you can utilize it. And the book, you can go to Amazon. You can get it on this website also, or you can go to Amazon.com and get the book there.
Okay.
And have free resources. Yeah, there's free resources regarding. Sure. You can get the book there. The book is there.
Okay.
There's an ebook, and there's also the other book. And if you want to learn more about one-on-one sessions, you can go. There's also a link here to go to anextraordinarylife.ca, and there's more.
An extraordinary life.
The Neuro.
Yes. Yeah.
And this work is the healing aspect, the neurotrauma healing process. The next book, which it comes out in 2021, is called Unleash Your Genius. And that is what goes to the empowerment aspect. Because when you do this healing work, it's not about staying in healing. When you do that healing work, automatically you get brought into connection with your innate wisdom, your innate joy, and this love intelligence that will guide you. And it's profound. So it travels a long way.
Nice.
And you can be free and live the life that you love to live, the life you came here to live. It is waiting for you.
That's right. Of course, it is waiting for you. I love that. I love that. Do you have any free sessions, like complimentary sessions that persons can get a feel for it before?
I tell you what, here's what we'll do is I'll give the first 10 people that email, they can have the free webinar. How's that?
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. How can they contact you?
So you can go info@anextraordinarylife.ca. Yeah.
Okay, info@anextraordinarylife.ca, or can they use the contact us? I'm clicking on the contact us here again.
Yep, they can go there. And the Dane Stevens online one, either one, there's contact forms on either one. Yeah. And by all means, fill them out and send them back. And just put in there that in between the lines, just put somewhere mentioned in between the lines, and we'll get a free webinar.
Nice. See?
So actually, go to it. Does have a comment thing in there, doesn't it? Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, your message. Just put in between the lines.
Nice.
Yeah. And then you can come to the webinar for free.
Nice. I will certainly suggest that and add that link, info@anextraordinarylife.ca, or they can use the contact button on either side. Yes? Yes.
Oh, sorry. You cut out for a minute there, Corinne. I missed that.
Oh, why did I cut out?
There you go.
Yeah, okay. No, I was just saying that, just reminding persons of the email address that they can use, info@anextraordinarylife.
Is below the...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And is there something down below in the contact form where they can leave the in between the lines? Mm-hmm. Yeah, your message. Okay, we're good. So either one, Dane Stevens Online or An Extraordinary Life, and your name and email in there. And as the message, just put, I want my free webinar from In Between the Lines. I'm more than happy to have you on. We want more people, to know about this so they can come to full healing. And if there's anybody who's interested in being trained, we need more people trained in it, so we can help the people that need this.
And what we have been noticing, and I'm sure you have been noticing it too.
Help whoever we can.
Yeah, I'm sure you have been noticing it as well, especially with this pandemic where people are in isolation, they're home with their families, they're probably out of work. A lot of latent or dormant issues that were sleeping has now risen its ugly head. And yeah, I can see you nodding.
Well put. Yeah. And that's just so well phrased, because it is awoken that stuff in us. And I seriously, this is such a huge opportunity for us, because once again, when, the old healing saying, if you can't feel it, you can't heal it. Yeah. And everybody is feeling it right now. Our stuff is up.
For sure.
That's when you can heal it.
Yeah.
So
a lot of domestic abuse, a lot of, fighting with the spouse or the girlfriend or the boyfriend, the children. And, I don't want to make it sound bad on all fronts. There are some people who have become closer because they have recognized that it's a time for them to talk. They have talked. A lot of the issues and things that they were having problems with, they were able to talk. So there's a bit of a balance, but for both sides need help. We can't assume. And I think this pandemic, has really created more opportunities than havoc. I don't know who want to look at the negative, but I want to look at the positive and say it has created more opportunities than havoc in the world. I know people have died and all of that, and I'm sad to hear that, but I'm looking at the greater, the bigger picture, and I'm seeing a lot of things, being awakened, as we say, being awakened, and that we have to deal with. We can't run. Dane, we cannot run.
Isn't it phenomenal what we've been able to experience in our lifetime at this time? I mean, the whole world was brought to a stop.
Oh,
holy cow.
We
as humanity could never have done that. It's like, wow. And we were forced to stay home and deal with ourselves. So I totally agree.
Be with yourself. Wow. So if you didn't like yourself, Dane, well, I wouldn't be talking to you now. This is good. This is good. Thank you so much for shedding more light on issues that has always been there and will always be there, but we're here to educate, and we hope that one life, even I always say just one life needs to be touched by listening to my show. I'm not asking for the thousands and the hundreds of thousands, just one, because I know that one will reach another one and will reach another one. That's right. That's right. Thank you so much, Dane Stevens.
Thank you for having me, Corinne.
Yeah.
You're wonderful. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you.
You're welcome.